Hi everyone, today I'm going to be making macaroni cheese. Now, one of a favourite of everybody's. I don't think I've come across many people in my life that don't like macaroni cheese. It's a really good one for university because it's cheap, especially if you're not in Hong Kong where cheese is a little bit cheaper. But I've got everything ready, so I'm going to start off by going through what I've got, my ingredients. So I've got my macaroni. Okay, I've got my cheese, obviously. I've got 3 different types of cheese here. I've got cheddar, cream cheese and a little bit of brie. I've got my ingredients to make my sauce. So I've got my butter, I've got my flour and I've got my milk. Then I've got my added extras, so to make it a bit more nutritious, I've got broccoli and cauliflower to add some vegetables in there. I've got meat to give it some extra protein, so I've got sausages, bacon and cooked chicken there. And then I've got salt, pepper and Italian seasonings to season it. And I've got some breadcrumbs to make it have a crunchy top. The other thing that then I've got my equipment, so I've put a pan of water on here to start boiling. I'm going to add in a little bit of salt to that. Most of the salt will get thrown away in the water, so I get quite a bit of salt. I've got another pan to make my sauce. I've got a whisk, I've got a knife, I've got my cheese grater, I've got a jug to measure my milk, I've got a colander to drain my pasta later, and I've got an oven-proof dish to cook my pasta in. So, my water's been coming to the simmer now, so I'm ready to put my pasta in. I checked the packet earlier. And it says 8 to 10 minutes cooking time, so I'm going to go on the lower end of the scale there. I still want it a little bit al dente because it's going to continue cooking when I bake it in the oven. If you're not going to bake it in the oven, maybe you don't have an oven and you just want to make the sauce and serve it straight away, that's fine, but maybe cook it for the full 10 minutes. Okay, then I'm going to go with get my sauce ready. For my sauce, I'm going to need about 40 grams of butter, which can go into my pan to start melting. When that's melted, I'm going to add in 40 grams of flour. Okay, so whilst that butter's melting, I'm going to chop up my broccoli and cauliflower. So I'm going to just break these off into small florets. Don't want it chunky because you'll end up just getting bits of broccoli and cauliflower, and you want to mix the pasta and the broccoli and cauliflower each. Mouthful you take. The stalk can go in, that can be chopped up nice and small as well. So you can do that with a knife, or you can just break it apart. I'm just using my knife to chop up the bigger bits. Okay, so there's my broccoli, my cauliflower, and then the same with my broccoli. Okay, then this is going to go straight into the water with the pasta. So that can cook for just about a third of the amount of time the pasta takes. So you can see everything's chopped up quite small, and that can go into here. Board a quick wipe down. Okay, so now my butter is melted just about. Just stir in the last little bit, and then I can get my flour. So say exactly the same amount, you can measure it with weighing scale, but you might not have a weighing scale, so each heaped spoonful, it should be about 20 grams of a tablespoon. So 2 tablespoons should be plenty, and you whisk that in. And this is called a roux sauce, and you just need to cook this out, the flour out, for about 2 minutes. Cook the flour in order for it to be able to have the starch to release from it when you add the milk, and that'll thicken it up. So whilst that's cooking out, it should turn a slightly darker shade of brown. Flour away. I can measure my milk out. So for this recipe I'm going to use half a litre. Now it depends what type of sauce you're making. For this one we want a binding sauce. If you wanted a pouring sauce you might want a third more. If you're making a even thicker sauce, then you might want a third less. Okay, so I'm going to show you that's gone slightly darker in colour. So now I want to turn my pasta up a little bit because it will slow down the cooking, and then just add in a little bit of milk to begin with. Now when you add it in the first lot, it will thicken up and start to look a little bit like mashed potato. That's fine, you just keep on adding the milk a little bit at a time. Each time you add it, you can add a bit more. So the second time you add it, it goes a little bit runnier. And the next time, even runnier. Always keep a cloth nearby just in case you spill. You don't want milk burning on your hob. And every time you do this, a little bit more of the starch will burst open. It'll get runnier, then it'll thicken up again. And you do this a little bit so it doesn't get lumpy. Now I can see I've got a really thick sauce at the moment, so it depends how thick you want your sauce. I'm going to go in with a little bit more of the milk. I might not need it all. I could even add some more in later. What you need to remember though is when you add the cheese, that will thicken up the sauce even more. So now I can see that it's runny. I'm going to save a little bit of the milk back later, so when I've added my cheese, to see if I need any more. At this stage I'm going to season the sauce, a little bit of salt. You don't want too much because your cheese might be salty as well. I like plenty of black pepper though. I don't have nutmeg at home, but if I did I would add a little bit of nutmeg. Okay, and then I can get on with my cheese. So first one I'm going to add in is cream cheese. You can just break this off into small pieces and whisk that in. So about 100 grams of cream cheese. I tend not to measure things because I've been cooking for a long time, so I can do things by eye. And I'll just whisk that in so that melts. Give my fingers a one. Then I've got my cheddar cheese, so I'm going to grate that. Half's going to go in my sauce, half is going to go on the top later. So now I want to turn this down so it doesn't burn on the bottom. Just let it cook slowly. Finish it off. Make sure keep whisking so there's no lumps. can see I've got a lovely smooth sauce coming on. Okay, now it's been about 8 minutes for my pasta, so I just want to try a little bit of that. Make sure it's just as al dente as I want it. Perfect. So I get my colander, take that to my sink. Make sure your pan handles aren't hot before you pick them up. Now you want to give this a really good shake over your sink because you want the macaroni tubes will all get filled with water, so you want to make sure you get all of that out. If not, your sauce will become soggy when you mix it in with your pasta. I can go back in my pan now. Check how thick my sauce is. Quite thick, and some of that's going to absorb into the sauce later, into the pasta later. So I'm just going to add in that extra bit of milk. And then I'm going to add in my extra bits into my pasta now. So I've got my chicken. So, get into bite-sized pieces, or small pieces. Make sure that's turned off. Right, it'll catch on the bottom. I've got sausages. So again, everything chopped up quite small. Not going to use all my bacon, I'm going to keep some of that for a salad tomorrow. Make sure it's okay to eat, yeah, perfect. So I'll keep some of the bacon back. So, chicken, bacon and sausage with broccoli and cauliflower macaroni cheese. Okay, so my sauce now is looking really smooth and creamy. All of that can go into my pasta. And that'll bind it all together, coating it all. Wipe up as I go because I don't want anything to burn on my hob. I'm going to get a spatula. I forgot to get that out at the beginning. Scrape it all out. The more you scrape out now, the easier the pan is to clean later. When you're at uni, washing up is always a bone of contention, so you need to make sure that you do it and keep it as simple as possible. Another good trick to do is put some water straight in the pan so it can soak. Oh, I forgot one thing, I forgot my brie. So some small chunks of brie can go in here, just add that left over. There we go. Okay, so now that is ready to go into my serving dish, ready to go in the oven. So I'm going to save a bit so I can just put it in a bowl and show you. Pat all that down. Okay, now I've got my breadcrumbs. So a sprinkling of breadcrumbs go on the top. Give it a crunch. And then some more of the cheese. Now when you're at uni, it's cheaper to buy blocks of cheese than it is to buy already grated. Not as convenient, but it'll save you money. And when you're at uni, money is an issue, so you need to think about that. Okay. Won't use all the cheese, 'cause I want a bit for my salad or sandwich tomorrow. There we are, there's my macaroni cheese ready to go in my oven later. Now let me just get another bowl. So another thing you can do is make little individual ones, put them in, and then you can freeze them individually, or you can eat it straight away. You don't need to bake it in the oven. Now, cheese that I couldn't get or didn't get at the moment is mozzarella, but mozzarella goes really well in this, because then when you cook it you get the stretchy effect of the cheese when you take forkfuls of it. And my baby in the background seems to like the idea of this. There we are. Oh, one last thing I forgot is the Italian seasoning. So sprinkle of that on the top. Bit on my big one to bake. If I had some fresh herbs, I'd be putting that in there, some basil. And there we go, there's one ready to serve now, or to cover and put in the freezer. Okay, so not a difficult thing to make, not very time consuming, but you really get the taste benefits, and you can really play about with things you can add into it. So you could think about frying some onions, putting that in there, adding some fresh tomatoes on the top before you bake it, some courgette or zucchini fried off and put in there. So lots of different ideas for how you can make your macaroni cheese more interesting in your own. Okay, so that's my tea ready for tonight. I hope you have a good go at making it yourselves.